Good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk to you about a slightly different topic. I want to talk about business scaling. And the reason I want to go through this right now, and this will be a little longer video to go through all of this, but there isn't a business out there that does not go through this process unless you don't grow at all. Or if somebody chooses to be, a standalone business, just a solopreneur forever, which that's an option. If that's the choice, that's fine. But if you're going to grow a business where you've got more than yourself in the business, you are subject to this situation. And I'm going to walk through this because my guess is nobody has ever actually thought about this. Every time I bring this up, I get deer in the headlights looks. So I'm going to walk through this and think about it for yourself. All right, first of all, when a business gets started, it starts with one or maybe two people. UPS happened to start with four at the corner of 2nd and Main Street in Seattle, Washington in August of 1907. UPS has done a tremendous job of doing what I'm talking about here. They not only are good at scaling, they've been good at reinventing themselves as well. That's on the side. I'm not going to go any deeper into that right now. But okay, so a business gets started and the business grows, and employees are added to the team. The owner does the hiring and the training. There is a natural bond that exists between an owner and an employee. If you just think of it this way, the employee, the first employee, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, they all become a real part of the owner's business. So the employee is fully trained and has been working with the owner. They are working together, side by side. This will result in continual conversations while working together. So the owner becomes familiar with the employee as the individual as well as an employee. So an employee and an individual together, it all comes together. The owner takes care of the employee by responding to their needs related to the business. The employee, through their work, takes care of the owner. Are we good so far? Right? Makes sense? Okay. Now, more employees are added under the conditions we just discussed, and the team is working together with everyone taking care of each other. So this probably happens up to maybe 5 employees. The business grows and a manager is added, which could very likely be one of the employees that was hired first. The first promotion from within, I guess you could say. The owner needs this manager to come in and oversee the day to day business so that the owner can step back from the day to day business and take care of the rest of the responsibilities that the owner needs to do. And we know as a business grows, that list of things becomes greater and greater. To get away from the day to day work and turn the attention to the needs of the business that the owner needs to do. At this point in time, the owner is probably still involved in hiring. The important thing of this is this. I mentioned before there is a bond that is created between an owner and an employee. The owner hires the employee, and the owner looks at the employee as being a piece of the business, right? Not just a person that walks in, but one of the integral parts of the business. A critical, though natural event starts to happen. The day will come when the owner is no longer doing the hiring. So the natural nurturing relationship or bond between the owner and the next employee is broken. Unfortunately, no one ever thinks of this as the business grows, including the owner. So the new manager that's brought in is not trained by the owner to think like an owner, which can make sense from a logical position. He is not the owner. But as far as the employee is concerned, the fact that the manager is hiring does not remove the expectations and needs of the employee. They need nurturing. So we have a gap here. And the gap is the start of the problem. Again, this can be avoided if it's just thought of in advance. It just doesn't happen very often. And the risk is real. So let's keep going. Even the nurturing nature of the owner with the existing employees on a day-to-day basis may likely be broken. And this is really the subtle one. If you can just imagine, you got 4 or 5 people working together, everybody's got their sleeves rolled up like this, and everybody's rocking and rolling. Well, now the owner isn't there anymore. It's the manager. So the manager is the focal point. So now, because of this, again, it's not intentional, but it is real. So the manager may not be taking care of the employees like the owner did. And consequently, get this, the atmosphere changes so that the employees lose some of their I will take care of the leader owner attitude. They begin to do less, digressing into doing what they were hired and paid to do because they do not feel as cared for as they did before. Put yourself in their shoes. I've seen the risk of this happening in my own business. I didn't see it so much at UPS because it was a huge organization. But inside a small business that's growing, it's very real. So the move from following the leader to obeying their manager is underway. Notice the distinction here. When the leader functions as a manager instead of a leader, employees tend to obey a manager rather than following a leader. Again, this is a natural process, so sometimes we need to think unnaturally to be able to catch these things in advance. The rest is history as the business grows and adds more layers of management. When you consider when an organization gets to approximately 50 people, plus or minus depending on the industry, you're going to end up with another layer of management. There's going to be a manager over the managers. So the impact is magnified during periods of fast growth. These are survival events as businesses adjust to a new normal. Been there, and it is challenging. Was any of this intentional? No. But is it real? And does it have an impact on the results of the business? Most assuredly so. So as time goes on, the business grows, and the focus of the owner or CEO, as over time it could turn out to be an official CEO, turns to business results with less or no focus on the employees, including their direct reports or their C-suite group. So we believe our direct reports at that level don't need the nurturing. That's what happens when you get to that level of an organization. That people that have been in the business for a while or have been leaders for a while shouldn't need to be nurtured. I guess there's some truth to that statement, but you can't assume that. It has to come as a result of relationships with your employees. If at that point you can back off on the nurturing piece because they're mature business leaders, great. Let the situation dictate that, not an automatic result. Okay, when our direct reports are also in the leadership team, we make an assumption. I remember the day when I was a frontline supervisor, and I said this. I'll remember it forever. I will be glad when the person reporting to me is also a management person. I remember that day. We automatically assume, now here's a risk with that statement. We automatically assume that the manager wants to be there and will naturally do his or her best work. So we take our eye off the need to continually take care of our inner circle. Leaders can become disenchanted when this occurs. I'm talking about the manager reporting to the manager. It is gradual, but it is very real as well, especially if the relationship becomes one of expectation on the part of the leader. In other words, I, as the leader, expect somebody to do something as opposed to one because of the motivation due to nurturing. And that's what happens as the business scales. Let me take it one more step. Let's examine the frontline supervisor. I believe they have one of the hardest jobs in the business. The CEO, the business owner, makes a number statement reflecting the business plan. The number flows down through the leadership layers in support of the CEO or the owner and lands on the shoulders of the frontline supervisor. Here is the challenge. And this comes as a result of this whole scaling process, right? The frontline supervisor has to take the number message that's flowed through the organization and present it to the employees in an inspirational way. So they want to do the work to accomplish the goal following the leader. The problem is the frontline supervisor is not trained to do this and has hardly ever been trained to do it. So the number message becomes another number message instead of an inspirational message to the employee. And now the employee's motivation becomes one of obeying their manager because they do not have a leader to follow. And that's the progression. And we can fix it. All we have to do is think about it and examine, keep our eyes open. Our employees are so valuable that if we keep the things I've talked about in our minds as we grow the business, it could grow fast, it might grow slow, it doesn't matter. It's real stuff. So I wish you the best. Have a great day.